to go back and you want to look at it, you want to use it, you want to, there are like 25 videos on that channel there. And so as I was saying to you before, this BEwell program, that's the webinar that just started about a year ago, is now just taking roots, and we're bringing people like Brigitte onto the webinar. We brought Joy, Debbie's spoken, so is David. I was in London last week, and I got together with other coaches, and we were talking about BEwell, and it's created this like a WhatsApp group of people interested. And I don't know where this is going. I really don't. And so someone said, what are you doing? What is this? What's the purpose? My purpose was to connect and to contribute. So I'm still on that line there. I'm not selling, I'm not buying, and people are, a lot of interesting people have been sort of penciled in to 2024 to come along and speak on these webinars. So I'm really excited because people are coming and talking about things that I don't know about. So in a selfish way, I'm looking at it as my journey, and I'm also trying to share this with you guys. So something that I find interesting, but today, when I saw Brigitte's profile, the brand Enchantress, and I thought, whoa, look at this. Who is this person? Enchantress, something magical, enchanting. So I contacted her and I said, please come on. And if you're in line with how I'm thinking, because some people are not, but I said, let's talk about online branding, because that's her forte, that's her expertise. So let me introduce Brigitte. I won't say her surname because it's impossible. And I'm sure I'll make a mistake, so I won't say it. But anyway, Brigitte is the founder, because her surname would be, for anyone who's interested, is Bojkowszky. Something like that. Bojkowszky.
Bojkowszky, yes.
Okay.
It's almost.
So Brigitte is the founder of Brigitte Brands and a global and personal brand identity strategist, with a career spanning over 23 years of teaching global marketing management and branding at universities across the globe and extensive experience in the corporate world. She possesses a treasure trove of knowledge and expertise, all with a passion for brand excellence. Brigitte guides entrepreneurs and organizations towards their brand's radiant future. Her mission is to craft captivating brand identities that radiate beauty, brilliance, and authenticity, ultimately attracting the clients and recognition her clients truly deserve. So today we're going to be talking about branding, online branding. And so we can, Brigitte, I give you the stage. You can talk. I mean, if you want, I've also got some questions that we can go through, or we can just give you the space to just share your knowledge.
Yeah, as you like. So first of all, thank you for having me, Gary. It's a pleasure being here today and talk about branding and online branding and crafting a compelling online brand. So there's a lot of businesses, traditional businesses still out there that have troubles, to kind of transition into this new world, into this new digital world where we have to stand out in one way or in another. And that's what I help others achieve. And that's where I am being in, and also entrepreneurs who start their entrepreneurial journey that need to integrate and that need to craft an online brand, but also big corporations that have to kind of revamp their brand identity as a corporation, as an organization, with all the different brands they have in their branded house or house of brands, to really organize that, bring a brand architecture into place that is understood and that people can relate to, and that people also understand. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And yeah, I'm here today to be more in an interactive conversation with you. I think I could now pull up the slides and give a talk. I can still do that in between to explain something if you want me to do that, but I think I would prefer also just a conversation around creating a brand that really sticks out through this digital crowd. And what's the trick? How do we do that? And it's really simple, but powerful. It's all about humanizing a brand, giving it a personal touch. So that's what it is all about. But how do we do that? And how do we build a brand? That's what we are going to discuss today. But before we discuss that, I would like to ask you a question. So the first would be, what brand comes to mind when you think about an exceptional experience or as an exceptional customer experience that you had online recently? And how did they create that positive experience? What comes up?
You mean an online experience?
Yes, you bought something online or you saw a brand online and it just resonated with you. What kind of brand was that and why was it like that? Why did that brand stick out?
Well,
What was
I
special?
saw a T-shirt. It was a Christmas T-shirt, red. It had a sparkly type Christmas tree on it and some other stuff and everything. And I bought that for my wife because she, well, you can't, I don't have the right thing up, but she decorates our house every season and every holiday. It's different. So we have something new in this house every 12 months. And so she really goes crazy on the Christmas side stuff. So she loves Christmas. So I saw one that was real pretty. I can't remember. Zoo Lily, I think it was.
So what was it that was so positive about it? So the end result is you made your wife really happy, right? And what was it on the way to become, to really get her that happy? What was it for you, this interaction with the brand? Why were they so exceptional?
Because it stood out. You know, you have when it comes to T-shirts for women, let's say, okay? A lot of them just have a little placard or some kind of picture and then some words maybe or something like that. And this one was really festive. And so it was particularly festive, which I thought, that's nice, you know. So that's why I decided to get it.
Okay, thank you, David. Any other experiences with a brand that you had recently online? Yeah, Debbie, please.
Yeah, I'll go next. My washing machine gave up, right? It said it's done. And I had to take my husband to a doctor appointment, and he was having something done on his eye, so he wasn't able to drive himself. And so I had to spend some time. And I went to a local shopping center. So it's really like a big store, you know, where they have everything from electrical appliances to makeup to leather goods and whatever. And I went to the electrical department to look and see, oh, maybe they have washing machines, see what's going on there. And what's important about this to know is that this company just did Chapter 13, or they said they're going broke. So it's Kaufhof here in Germany. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but they're actually, everything has to be shut down. Everything has to go. So it's gone. So so they had you know, some stuff set out. So washing machines set out, and I said, oh, I like that. You know, it's a pretty good one. Looks like a good price. But I don't want to just buy it without talking to my husband first, because I don't know how we're going to get it in the house. I don't know how we're going to get all that stuff set up and so forth. Right. So I picked him back up from the doctor's office, went home, and then when he was able to, I talked to him about it. And he said, well, yeah, if you you know, that's what you need, go for it, right? And I thought, oh, you know, drive in another half an hour, 40 minutes, and find a parking spot. And, you know, that's a little bit difficult. See if I can just do it online or on phone. And I called him. I was actually sitting in the car waiting for him again at another doctor's appointment. And I said, I'll just use that opportunity to call. So I called them, and they said, sure, we can do that. We can, you know, we can deliver it. We can set it up. You know, this is what it would cost. This is how you would have to do it. And actually sitting in the car, waiting in a parking lot, I bought a washing machine. And they said, you can go on, or can you go online? I said I could if I wasn't talking to you right now, because I can't do both at the same time. Probably possible. I just don't know how to do that. But, and so they said, no worries, just when you get home. So when I got home, I had everything there. I had the order confirmation. I had the link I had to go to get the people that set it up. I had the numbers that I had to call to, set up an appointment to get it done. The people that I talked to about getting the appointment, they sent me, links when I can expect a 2-hour delivery time between this and that. Everything it went perfect, absolutely perfect. The customer service was really, really awesome. And so for me, the brand, putting this into perspective I think it's really horrible that this company is going out of business, because the customer service was awesome. It was really awesome.
Yeah. So it made you feel something, right? What was the feeling you could take away?
That I can trust them. That they do what they say they're going to do. It was the email was there, the connections were there, what's going to happen when was there, all that was there. Mm-hmm.
So that is what is a brand. That's what is all about a brand. It's what it makes you feel. A brand needs to make you feel something, of course, hopefully positive. Yeah, it's about a brand is a risk reducer. So it's your promise that you're putting out there in the world, and you have to keep that and even deliver like a more exceptional experience than the customer is expecting. And obviously that happened here. Yeah, so that's what a brand needs to do. It needs to make you feel something. And there is a very good quote by Maya Angelou, and she said, "They will forget what you say, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel." And that is what is about a brand. So here we go even one step further, and that's what I'm proclaiming as well. A brand is a construct that transcends mere aesthetics. It goes beyond colors and logos and taglines. It germinates from one's mindset. So a brand, it's all about mindset, and branding starts with mindset, and it's all about coming from their heart, but it's something when you are creating it, it has to also come from what you're doing with it. It comes from having a vision. Mindset is projecting a vision out there, is having a mission, is living by your fundamental values as a company, as a team, but also as a solopreneur. So it starts much earlier than actually expressing your brand on your social media platform, on your website, or through whatever physical evidence that you have out there. It starts with mindset. It starts with creating something, with shaping perceptions of customers' minds. So you're shaping something, how someone else is seeing you. And with this brand identity that you're creating of yourself as a brand, whether it's a personal brand, an experience, a product, or a company or a business brand, with what you're sending out, you're creating an image in the market about you. And that's what customers mirror you. Yeah, so there's the brand identity, and that is mirrored in the brand image that customers are creating about you, and that needs to be in sync. Then you're on brand, and then you're having a compelling brand. If when you are in the consideration set, customers go for you and choose you over anyone else. Gary.
The floor is open to people. Anyone wants to ask a question? Okay, I'll just take it. Question is,
I was just making sure I didn't fall through the floor.
If I look at myself, when I started the business, this business of mine 25 years ago, I was on my own, and it had a certain value, a certain way about it. But in the 25 years since, people have joined and people have left and things have changed. And so the business hasn't always followed my values, because even my values changed as we moved along. So the question is, where does, I mean, whose values does the company or does the business follow? Is it the owner's values, or the values that were in place at the beginning have changed with the people who've come on board?
Yeah. Okay. So let's start at the beginning. Usually it starts with the value set of the one who founds that company. Who is the founder? It starts, you are starting something with a purpose. You have a higher purpose why you're doing something, right? You are starting this company, but it starts with you. You are infusing meaning through your personal brand. So first you need to understand yourself, and then you're infusing that meaning into your company brand. So it starts with your personal values. You need to know, and if you don't know, you have to go into deep reflection, in introspection, to figure out what are my 5 or 3 core values. What am I living by every day? You need that because it helps you with decision making. Yeah, it's something that you live by and you breathe it every day. And that's how you also build your brand. And values are values that stay with you usually over your life, but they might take on different meaning over life. So an example of my values are beauty, brilliance, and passion, but also freedom and integrity. So beauty and brilliance and passion are my first 3. It's very unusual, right? But there is so much meaning attached to it. And it has changed over my lifetime. At the beginning, as a flight attendant, beauty and brilliance was very much from the outside, to create this exceptional experience for customers. To shine every day when you are on board, you have to be on brand, aligned with what the airline is promising, right? And then over my life, it has changed. It goes more inside, you know, because everyone has beauty and brilliance within them. They just very often are not aware what that is. What is that particular strength in your character, in your skill, in your capability, in your knowledge, in your experiences, whatever that is. Usually it's a blend of it, right? So in my case, it took on different meaning over my life, but they always stay with me. But and also priorities can change. Yeah. And that is also part because my pain, my journey, my experience have kind of created my higher purpose of my business and what I'm doing right now. So my values are still very, very much ingrained in my business as well. For others, they might kind of exchange one of these values, but they will not go very much far away from the original values that they already have. So they're very much terminal values. And we also differentiate between means to an end, values that are changing over time, but there are also terminal values that are like the end state. And that's something that you will keep forever. And as an entrepreneur, you start with the personal brand values that you infuse into your company brand values. So there is kind of one step personal and then company brand values. And of course, over life, over the existence also of the company, they might take on different meanings. And everything that you achieve with your company is kind of feeding backwards into your personal brand as well, because you as a person, you grow with that experience over time having that business. So it's there's a symbiotic, interdependent relationship of you as a business owner and of the company that you're owning. But also the team brings in something. So that's why it is so important to have a healthy culture in an organization as well, with onboarding people that share the same value set. So you need to make sure that the value set aligns, that the culture is shared within your team, that you're going in the same direction, that you're having the same vision, that you are on the same mission. You really need to check back with that regularly. Like not every day, but every once in a while, like having meetings yearly or every 6 months. This is important. Are we still on the same track? And people change, something happens. People like come into their 40s. Actually, now, I don't know. I'm not quite sure if I still want to continue with that company because of this and that. So a brand is a living thing. And it needs to be nurtured, and it evolves with you, it evolves with the people over time. And that reflects also to the final customer. And you will resonate with those who have a similar value set. And it's also important to be authentic as an organization and truly stand up for what you want to achieve, what you're here for. Because then you resonate with the right people who want to continue being your customer. You want to build these trustworthy, loyal relationships with them. So I'm talking too much already, right?
That was the
That's great.
all that. I think, but when you start, things have changed now since when I first started off. Things have changed, and maybe entrepreneurs have a better idea of their values today compared to maybe 20, 25 years ago. I don't know. I know now people always say the values of my values, must mirror the companies, or the companies has to mirror mine, so on. But 25 years ago, people didn't talk about this. It was something that was ingrained in you. Maybe it's the way you saw the world, the way you came to the office, the way you went to your clients, and so on. And the people that you hired, you didn't ask the question, what are your values? I didn't have that recruiting knowledge at the time, and we took on people like saying, so we took these people on more on their competencies rather than their soft skills. So were they good teachers? Were they good in the office? Were they good at doing this and that? But you didn't really know.
I think we never.
Were they on board for the long journey? I mean, they were on board for the short journey, but for the long journey, you need people who mirror you, or not.
Who mirror you, but also, complement you. There needs to be a kind of an agreement. And in earlier days, we were not so much aware of that. It was not, we didn't talk about it. You just felt this feels good working with that company. And over time, this does not feel good anymore. You're not really thinking about what it really is. You just go with that feeling. And then you're departing most probably sooner or later. Now we have much more awareness when it comes to that. There's so much more personal development, but also when it comes to companies, they put an emphasis on that, especially in the North American market, but it's also spilling over now to Europe. I mean, in Austria, we still have these traditional companies that don't care about these kind of things, and this is new, yeah.
I think Debbie's got a question for you. Debbie, you got a question?
Well,
a reflection?
it's
Debbie?
not so much a question. It's I agree with you. And my thing has been in leadership, particularly servant leadership. And what I do is I try to set the goals of what people need to go to. They need to understand what my goals are. And for my employees and everything like that, need to understand the goals of the company. And one of the things I'm seeing a lot more now is what I call a millennial business transformation. I see a lot of millennials that are out there, and I mentioned with Gary one time, bossism is dead. They don't want to deal with bosses. They don't want to work with bosses. They want to work people who are going to treat them with respect and correctly and everything, what we've been talking about. But I see a lot of that happening with new businesses run by millennials, as they want a more equal in pay and living and all that kind of stuff. They're wanting a more equal experience not only for themselves, but for their employees. And so they're looking for that special bond, for that, what is that carrot I can hang on to? And, you know, just like what you were talking about. That's what I see a lot of millennials going to.
Yeah, millennials and the Gen Zs and these generations are all about work-life balance. It's all about, you know, creating this community sense, the feeling of community, belonging to something, living authenticity and the higher purpose. So that is completely different to the Gen Y and the Gen X and the Gen X and the baby boomers.
Yes, exactly.
Very
Listen,
traditional. So that there's a
Brigitte, talk to us a little bit about online branding. Everyone keeps talking about storytelling. What is this storytelling in branding?
Okay, so storytelling and branding is extremely important because we are connecting, first of all, with the heart. And when we tell a story, others remember. They remember, they can make sense of it. It relates, it resonates, they see themselves in the story. But you have to tell the right story, of course. Yeah, you need to know your customer inside out. So you need to know, you need to do research. You need to really get a feeling of what your customers want, what their desires are, what their pain is, what their, you know, ultimate goal is in their life. And then you fit well if you can deliver that. Yeah, so that's why this identity and the image that they create really gets together, because then you have a client base that is strong, that is loyal, that trusts you. Yeah, and with stories, with a narrative, with something they can immerse in, they see themselves in. They say, "Wow, actually, a brand is an extension of their self." When it's, and a good example is always an Apple iPhone, or a Porsche driver wants a Porsche, or let's say a certain sports skier. You're going for something that you feel empowered, you feel good about it, yeah, and the brand can deliver on that. So you're telling a story. It can also be a narrative of the company's history, a narrative of the company's future, a narrative of what the company stands for, what it does, because it really it sits in your heart. So you connect with the emotions, with the visceral level, and then this goes up to your mind. So a brand always has a duality. There is the rational part, what it does, you know, the performance of the brand, in what industry they are, and what kind of needs they satisfy. But there's also the emotional parts that we connect with. And that we always forget about this duality of brands, and the richness in meaning. And the richness in meaning that adds on to that comes through the narrative, comes through the story. And people do not buy goods and services, even though they buy. They buy the relations, they buy the stories, and they buy the magic. So stop selling products and start telling stories, and we call that story branding.
Give us an example, Brigitte. Give us an example of a brand that you know that has a story about it.
A lot of brands. When I think about L'Oreal brands, I've worked with L'Oreal a lot. Every one of these brands tells a story. Now, where is this brand coming from? What does it do? There is all this, like Louis Vuitton has a story to tell. Yves Saint Laurent has a story to tell. Apple has a story to tell. Lululemon has a story to tell. Trader Joe's has a story to tell, just to name a few US American stories. Porsche has a story to tell. Most of these brands that have been also very long on the market, they have a story to tell. And that's what people connect with. They want to be part of that. Nike also has a story to tell. Yeah,
So when you say a story, I'm trying to understand, is it the story of why the business exists, or is it?
For example. Yeah. there's a lot of stories about how that business is built. Yeah, Walmart has also a story to tell, how it was built as a brand, where it is coming from, where are the roots, right? So this is the history of a brand. Is very important. We have a lot of Austrian brands that have this typical Austrian history. We also call it then the country of origin effect, because a country also stands for a certain quality, craftsmanship, for example. Yeah, there's this Le Pliage, for example. That's a French brand. Yeah, there's always a history behind, but also about their customers. Yeah, so you can tell a story about everything. Yeah, you can tell a story about your name. You can tell a story about why you have chosen that brand colors. You can craft a story about the tagline that you have chosen. So there's different stories to tell.
That's great. So there's one of the people asked me, like, why is my school called Green School and not Blue School or Yellow School or Red School, or which is a legitimate question. I said, aha, okay. I said that the story behind that was the color green is the color for hope. And so when the school started in 1981, before I came to Italy, and the story was the original objective or what of the school, the goal was to give hope to the children. And so it was a children's school, and it was called the Green School. Then when I took over, I thought about changing the name, because I said green doesn't sit with me really. And people said, is that your surname, Mr. Green? I said, well, not really. I said, and so I had to explain the story where the word green comes from. And though things have changed, that we don't work with children anymore, we work in companies and so on, the name has stayed. And every so often I get people asking me, so that's a little bit of a story of the name. But yeah, I think companies have to have, let's move on. Another question. What about the visual consistency, like, for the visual, the brand recognition? Is that important?
Yes, that's important. So the visual consistency of a brand. Consistency has two meanings, or several meanings, but the main two meanings are consistency across different platforms. That means you should have consistency across your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, your website, your physical evidence like leaflets, your email, your newsletter, everything that you do, or maybe your email signature as well. There needs to be consistency in the font type, so typography, in the colors, and also the way of how you write. It rings through your brand style of your writing style. Yeah, it's just the voice, the so-called brand voice. Yeah, it's not only the physical evidence, how you express it, because you express it in different ways. Yeah, in verbal, in non-verbal, and non-verbal can be many things. In the content, how you create, what kind of words you use, so the wording. And depending on your brand archetype or who you are as a brand, you have certain attributes that you're using. That's why it's so important to know your values, because your values become part of your brand voice. You're using them regularly. So there's a consistency in how you express yourself on your website, on your email, through social media. And the consistency not only across that different so-called touch points, but also consistency over time. You should not change your logo, your name, your whatever it is, like every other month or every other year, because people want to trust you. Yeah, it's like trust. They know you in that particular way of how you present yourself. There is a look and feel, and then suddenly you look and feel different, and then suddenly again. So how can you build trust when there's always a disruption? Yeah, you're modifying, of course, over time, but that is so slow. And so you know, it's so subliminal. It's you not really recognize it, but you need to go with the trends to a certain extent. Yeah,
but
especially
now today, I don't know if you noticed that we have so much at our fingertips, you know, with AI coming up along as well. There's this
yeah, yeah.
there's this desire, let's say, to renovate, to renew, to be fresh, to be like my business after 25 years. I'm thinking, well, maybe I should change the name, and maybe I should just change the logo, and maybe I should do something because something's happening, and I'm not so fast as what's happening. And so, how does the business stay in progress with what's happening, but not actually changing everything just to follow the trend?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is two ways. Either you disrupt and you pronounce that something new is coming and the brand is revamping itself or something like that, or you do it slowly over time. You know, you can kind of run with, like, say, a two-tier strategy. You bring in a new brand name, but you're endorsing this new brand name with your old name. And then slowly, once people get to know that, you take off the old name and people don't even realize. So the new name is just already in there. Yeah. So there are different branding strategies that you can run, not to confuse customer. That's why it's important. You need to know your customer, but you can stay on trend and you do not need to hop on every trend. You need to feel into what can be taken, can be integrated in your strategy, and what needs to be left out, and say, no, to this, I say, no, thank you. I don't need that. Yeah. It's also part of owning something, owning your brand. Being on brand means to stay true to yourself as who you are as a brand. And when it comes to AI, AI is a powerful tool, but it's not perfect and you have to be very careful about it. And that's why it's important to work with branding strategies to have an understanding about how to use AI. It's a really good Speedy Gonzales, yeah? It helps you to be creative, you know, but it's an instrument. So think about your brand as a song. The AI is an instrument, but you are the singer. You are bringing in all the passion, the emotions, and the soul into it. AI cannot do that. It does not understand. It's something that helps you, that supports you. It's a tool, but you are the master. And still there is a captain, a pilot on board of a plane. Even though you have three assistants, autopilots, if all of them go wrong, there is still the pilot that is steering the plane. He needs to feed them the plane with the data. So you need to feed your machine, whatever AI you are using, with the right data. Yeah. And you need to play around with it and see what is it producing. Yeah? So you are in command. You are the master, and not the machine, not the AI or any other technology yet.
Let me ask you another question. Since the question is, how do I know that my brand is a success? Is it just through the customers that are buying, or is there a way of measuring the success of my brand even without the turnover or the customers coming in?
Success can be used in different ways. So what does success really mean to you? You need to define it. Yeah. Success can at the beginning be your brand awareness in the market, growing your deep and broad brand awareness, and then building your image upon that. And success can be that someone says, listen, you have made my day today. I'm gonna refer you. A success can be that someone is watching your masterclass or whatever, is purchasing your product, or is just having a look at it and decides right in the moment, I'm going to purchase that. And because of this and that. So it can be measured in many ways. It's really the question, what kind of KPIs are you using? And there's a lot of AI also already out there when it comes to websites. There's different ways of how you can measure that. You can Google Analytics. There's different measures about that. When you, and it's not about the likes. There was a very good Harvard business article already in 2015. It's not about the like. A like can have so many different meanings, but what is behind that like and the meaning and the comments or whatever that is. Yeah. So you need to take it from there. And it's actually at the end of the day, the conversion into having the clients purchasing your product. But that needs to also demand the right positioning in the market with the right pricing and everything. You really need to figure out where is your sweet spot and where do you meet your customers' needs in the best possible way. So this is a balancing, a very fine act, yeah, until you figure that out. And at the end of the day, of course, we need to make profits. We need to make a living. And it's success measured hard, yeah, in kind of a pure transaction of a conversion of a client into a paying client. But also success can mean that with your brand, you can do something good beyond bottom line making profit. Success can also mean with part of the income that I have created or the profits I've created, I do some CSR activities, corporate social responsibility. You're doing good. You are supporting a certain cause. This can also mean success.
Yeah.
And that's how you build a brand as well. Yeah.
What about when we start up a small company, we're all solopreneurs. The budget's very limited. We don't really have a lot of money, and we can't jump on a marketing agency and just say, do everything for me, because we can't afford that. Give us some tips. What can we do? It could be low budget, but could be effective.
Okay, so when you have this, a financial kind of, you are stretched financially, focus on this cost efficient or effective strategy. You can do that by collaborations with others, building a brand tribe, partnerships with others, referral partners with others, community. That's what you're doing right now, getting the right people together. It doesn't mean that now Debbie is hiring me for as a branding strategist, yeah. But she might know someone who needs that. Yeah. So this is a very cost-efficient way of how to grow your network, of how to reach out to your customers. It's also putting yourself out there, becoming a creator, talk about what you're doing, try to hop as a guest on a podcast. Try to, like what I do, I'm now participating in your kind of mastermind, in your brand tribe that you are growing. So this is getting in touch with people, having conversations. Try to have a conversation with every possible person. I tell you, every person that you're meeting can be a potential client or knows a potential client. So talk about your passion, talk about what you're here for in this life. Yeah. So it's the interesting thing is when you're opening up and when you're coming with this energy, with this passion, what you're doing, with understanding what your higher purpose is, suddenly things pop up out of nowhere. And this is really something that I find interesting. Yeah. So it's about networking. It's about relationships, diverse relationships.
Yeah, I would say so. I think, like my industry was living in a small town. Everyone was doing their own thing. So it was not sharing information. It was actually hiding information. You hid your price list, even though people knew about it, but it was things you didn't share because you thought you were doing something that was new to the market. But when now with what's available, you know everything about everyone, all your competitors. The day you come out with a new product or a new service, the next day someone has got a similar thing out as well. And so so I think that the question is how to be different in a common market, in a market that, yeah,
I tell you what, I tell you how you'll be different. Knowing who you are as a person and infusing meaning into that service. Everything being equal, it's still you as a human being behind the brand that makes that difference. Because you, with who you are, with all the characteristics that you are as a human being, with the blend of experiences and knowledge, and nobody does it like you do. And there is abundance in this world of customers. You just need to get out there, and then you will connect with the right people. It's also a numbers game. Have call with people, hop on calls with people to have a conversation with, and master that. It's difficult, especially when you're used to playing small, when you feel like you are invisible, nobody sees you, but you need to get over that. Yeah. Put yourself out there into the uncomfortable. And that's how it is. And if you can't do that, then you need to ask yourself, is being an entrepreneur the right thing for you? Yeah. So it's about the person behind the brand. It's about humanizing brands. It's the way of how you do it, because that's something that breaks through the noise, and that's how you stick out.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't need to be that much different. You just need to do it a little bit better than the others. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Nobody does it like you do. I like that sentence. I like that. Listen, you guys, come on, say something. Joy, I'm sure your microphone works.
Yes, my microphone is definitely working, Gary. I've just been just enthralled by your talk, Brigitte. And it's not that I haven't heard it before, but it's lovely when you hear information and it has an impact on you. So I would say that you've had an emotional impact on me with what you've said. And yeah, it's made me rethink a lot of things, because I did have a chat with you at one point, Brigitte, and this desire, as Gary said, to change things. And then you said, don't change it too often. I'm like, but the temptation is so real, you know. But I've learned something today. So I was thinking about looking at my branding and doing something, but I'll take it slowly. So thank you.
And you're very welcome. Yeah, take it slowly and reflect on it. Reflect on it and let it sink in, and you will know that the moment when you know what to change and what you have to change, you will know. Yeah.
I went through a phase a few years ago, maybe a couple of years ago, when I kept changing my LinkedIn description. It didn't match what I did, and then someone said, but it's not about you, it's about what you can do for others. So I said, okay, change that, and what can I do for others? Then I thought, but that's not me. I mean, how can I be me but also be what the others need? And so there was, and the people were saying to me, if you keep changing your description, no one will ever find you. And I think, okay, don't change it. But then I was thinking, but I don't like that. I need to change that. And I don't know if you guys have had this this sort of questioning of your description. Do you just?
I've done it, Gary. I've
Yeah?
done it too. Yeah, every sort of 4 or 5 months. I'm getting longer at staying with something. But you're right, because I feel as though I'm changing, I'm evolving. The description no longer matches. But I hear what you're saying. It's either about me or it's about who I serve. So that's another thing that I grapple with.
Yeah, well, you're always learning too.
Yeah, and important is, I mean, I think the about section can be changed and should be changed accordingly, because we integrate always some more learning, because we are morphing, right, as a person. But the trick is where it is about you, but also about your ideal client whom you serve, is here to come in with the story. Because you tell the story that the client can resonate with, that they understand what this is about, because you're doing this because you want to help them shorten their learning. You want to help them with the problem they have, because you went through it. You have been there. And that's where the story connects.
I don't have that on my LinkedIn, but I'll have a look at that now. So if you see that something's being changed, it's because of this webinar. Yeah, I don't know.
Can I give a quick story?
Sure.
In going for my management degree, one of the courses I had to take was on surveys, how to create surveys, you give the surveys to, all that kind of stuff and everything. And we took the class, we broke them down into teams of 5 people. And we had to create a survey. We had to know how to identify who we wanted to give it to, because, you know, they're always slanted. Every time you get a survey, it's going to be slanted a certain way to give a certain result. That's what surveys do. And so I was the lead on the project, and I decided we were going to work on a coffee-powered car. And where I took the gist of that was from Honda was working on a hydrogen power car at the time. And hydrogen, you know, you can separate water into hydrogen and oxygen, right? 2 hydrogen molecules, 1 oxygen molecule. And so if you were to separate that out correctly, if you had a water-powered car, let's say, and you separate that out, it was using the hydrogen for the performance, and the byproduct going out the exhaust would be oxygen, pure oxygen. You know, so it's pretty creative. But, and that's a real thing. But I want to do a coffee power car, because the object of the course was to see how you can get people to buy your product, like you're talking about. And so we broke in my team of 5. I had 2 people that were giving the survey, and another one totaling the information from the survey, and I was putting it together. And at the end of the semester, we were supposed to have a report, a PowerPoint report on our projects. And so the guys that we had going out to service stations, dealerships where cars being worked on and things like that, and other places. And one of the things that I had on there was, would you drive a coffee-powered car if you get coffee fresh off the dashboard every morning while you're driving? Would you like to drive a coffee-powered car while you're in traffic and you can smell the coffee fumes coming from all the other cars? And silly stuff like that. And so they went out, and they, good little soldiers, they went out into all the different places, made their surveys, brought it back, compiled all the information. And we did the PowerPoint, and everybody had a section of their PowerPoint that they were doing and performing. I started, then we went on to the other people. And at one point they were talking, and they said, people were just asking us, when was this car going to be out? We want it right now. And so it was a very good thing, and ended up well. But then I decided to add in one more page I didn't tell them about in the PowerPoint. And I compared the price of a gallon of gasoline to a gallon of Starbucks. Huge difference. And so, you know, you get a gallon of gasoline for what you can buy Starbucks for sometimes. And so,
yeah, I think
everyone,
like, you know, with you got to sell something, but it's got to be also, as we were saying, trust, and it's got to be something that people, it's, you know, sometimes you look at things, you say, wow, that's a great idea, but then you think about it and think, is this going to be really feasible? Is this really something that, you know, it's just like one of those innovative, like a trend, like, you know, novelty that comes along, and then they don't hear about it again. So even this coffee, you know, powered car sounds good, but the reality is completely something different. Listen, we're coming to the end. We're coming to the end. It's like 6 p.m. here in CE time in Italy. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you, Brigitte, for all your insights and sharing and your time and everything. There's going to be another one next week, the last BEwell before we break up for Christmas. And then we're going to be back from the 9th. And it's my crusade. I'm going to keep going. I'm bringing on people. So if you know of any people who are interesting, who've got some interesting things to bring to the table, drop me a line. I'll bring them on board, and we can spend enjoyable hour together. The recording is on the YouTube channel, so if you want to go and have a look at it, you want to use it, Brigitte, you can. And have a great day. Thank you again.
And can I say, Gary, I'm interviewing you on Thursday in 2 days' time.
You are.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not preparing myself for that because I just want to be there and see what happens, because I think that's how I'd like to be. I mean, of course, it just, if you're prepared, it looks better, but it's just I'd like to be just asked the question and I'll give you what comes out. Brigitte, thank you again. David, thank you. Debbie, Joy, and hopefully I'll see you next week. If not, have a great evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
so much.
Brigitte.
Bye.
Good day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.